In this presentation, we're going to be talking about marine wildlife collisions. The presentation will include a short introduction, the historical evolution of the problem, the stakeholders, the geographical and geopolitical causes and consequences, the connection with the Sustainable Goals Objectives Agenda, political actions, solutions, and a conclusion, and then lastly, references. Shipping is the backbone of contemporary global trade. It makes it cheaper for people to buy products from halfway across the world by facilitating the transportation of numerous types of goods. Despite this, shipping has several drawbacks, and one of the biggest ones is the effect it has on marine life. One such problem is marine wildlife collision. There are marine species such as dolphins, whales, sea turtles, and seals who must periodically surface due to biological needs, placing them at heightened risk of injury or death from passing vessels. Unfortunately, marine wildlife collisions are one of the lesser publicized consequences of shipping activities, despite being a critical threat to many cetaceans worldwide. The ramifications of these collisions can be severe, leading to serious injuries such as gashes or detached fins and tails. Moreover, these injuries can have broader population impacts, potentially reducing the overall numbers of certain marine species and affecting their reproductive success. As such, addressing the issue of marine wildlife collisions is essential for the conservation of these vulnerable species and the health of our oceans.
In the 1800s, the rise of steamships began to increase accidental collisions with marine animals, but whaling posed the biggest threat to species like the North Atlantic right whale. By 1919, the first recorded whale strike occurred in the North Atlantic as faster steam powered ships dominated global trade routes. This trend continued into the 1950s, and by the 1970s, with the U.S. Marine Mammal Protection Act of 1972, the first significant environmental legislation recognized the broader threats human activities pose to marine life, including ship collisions. In the 1980s, research on whale strikes showed over 130 documented cases, spurring conservation interest and leading the International Whaling Commission to create a strike database in 1991. This data shows significant overlap between shipping lanes and whale habitats, leading to increased advocacy for protections. In 2002, the U.S. introduced mandatory speed limits on the East Coast to protect the North Atlantic right whale. This was followed by a 2004 incident in California when a blue whale was struck, drawing international attention. Since 2018, modern tracking technologies and programs like Whale Safe on the U.S. West Coast have allowed for real-time whale monitoring, which alerts ships to reduce speeds in active whale areas. Canada and the U.S. have expanded and enforced speed regulations, and fines for violations have increased compliance in key zones.
The key stakeholders are the international and national organizations which deal with maritime trade. Some prime examples are the International Maritime Organization, which is the principal entity when it comes to regulating shipping and its social and environmental effects. There are also other organizations like the International Whaling Commission, which is an intergovernmental organization that deals with whale conservation and all activities that could pose a threat to this marine species. Although whales are not the only species affected by ship collisions, they are one of the most afflicted. Around 20,000 whales die yearly from these incidents. The next stakeholders are shipping firms. They should have a vested interest in implementing environmentally friendly strategies. Their primary focus on cost effectiveness makes collision avoidance crucial, as these incidents can result in substantial damage to vessels. Furthermore, adhering to corporate social responsibility practices can enhance their public image. Leading shipping companies like Maersk, China Ocean Shipping, and Mediterranean Shipping Company play significant roles in this context. Public stakeholders, including consumers, politicians, and environmental organizations, can also influence the shipping industry's practices through awareness and advocacy. Although public discourse is largely focused on social issues such as labor practices within the industry, the environmental impact of vessel collisions need greater attention. NGOs like the World Wildlife Fund and the International Fund for Animal Welfare are active in promoting initiatives aimed at reducing vessel strikes. Shipping companies rely on financial institutions for investments in sustainable technologies. Innovations aimed at reducing environmental impact often require substantial funding. Insurance companies also play a critical role by covering damages from collisions and conducting risk assessments that can help mitigate future incidents. There are also instances of insurance companies offering discounts to shipping firms that use specific measures and technology, which reduces the possibility of collisions. Their influence can shape industry practices significantly.
The geographical causes explain that many shipping lanes intersect with the migratory routes of these animals, increasing the likelihood of encounters. Narrow channels force vessels into close proximity with marine life, while coastal shipping often occurs near feeding and breeding areas where wildlife is more concentrated. Complex underwater topography, like canyons and reefs, can affect animal movement, leading to higher collision risk in adjacent shipping lanes. Additionally, environmental factors such as poor visibility due to weather conditions can obscure the presence of marine species, and seasonal changes in wildlife distribution can heighten risk during specific times of the year. Also, visiports in bottleneck areas with high traffic can further elevate the chances of collisions, while human activities like coastal development and fishing can disrupt habitats and push wildlife into shipping routes. The geopolitical consequences explain that these incidents might lead to diplomatic tensions between countries, particularly when endangered species are involved or when collisions occur in disputed territorial waters, complicating international agreements of marine conservation. Stricter maritime regulations often emerge in response to such collisions, sparking debates over shipping practices and marine protected areas, which can impact trade routes and economic activities, leading to friction among nations relying on shipping. Moreover, the loss of marine biodiversity can have long-term ecological effects that jeopardize fisheries and tourism, key industries for many coastal nations, driving them to adopt more aggressive stances in negotiations regarding marine resource management. Public awareness and advocacy related to wildlife conservation can also influence geopolitical dynamics, as NGOs and citizen movements pressure governments to prioritize environmental protection, potentially exacerbating conflicts between economic development and conservation efforts.
The Sustainable Development Goal connected with this issue is the 14th one, named Life Below Water. This SDG aims to conserve and sustainably use the ocean, sea, and marine resources for sustainable development. It also has different subdivisions to deal with the different problems that trouble this ecosystem. There are several policies in place which all aim to safeguard the Earth's marine ecosystem. Political actions have been taken in order to solve this issue, both on the national and international scale. National initiatives include the establishment of marine protected areas in which local authorities may create them to limit shipping traffic in important habitats, thereby safeguarding marine biodiversity. There is also speed regulations, which implement speed limits in critical habitats to reduce collision risks. On the global scale, there's the Convention on Biological Diversity, which is an international treaty that encourages countries to take action to protect marine biodiversity from various threats, including those posed by shipping. A subsection of this treaty is the EU Biodiversity Strategy, which also deals with European member states in concrete. There are also several regional agreements which seek to mitigate the threats to cetaceans, including collisions. A specific example is the Agreement on the Conservation of Cetaceans of the Black Sea, Mediterranean Sea, and contiguous Atlantic area, which is a binding agreement that affects countries in that region. Organizations like the International Chamber of Shipping and the World Shipping Council create guidelines for best practices in navigation and environmental protection, helping to reduce collision risks. An example is the whale chart launched between the WSC in collaboration with the International Whaling Commission, which informs ships about the measures taken in order to reduce collision.
Possible solutions. According to Catherine A. Willis, in order to minimize and in the future eradicate the pollution of the oceans, we need to take a double pronged approach in which we fix the mess we have made of the ocean currently, but also prevent further more pollution from taking place. To do that, we will name some of the several steps that need to be taken. In one hand, we need to stop the pollution at the source, and that can be achieved through many ways, like incentivizing the use of technologies that prevent or banning products that pollute. Then we can also take care of pollution after it has been left the source and inside the ocean itself through these methods are less effective. We must change the way in which society perceives the pollution of the ocean because only when we adapt to more responsible consumption and production, we will be able to halt the pollution of the ocean. This can be done by clearly informing the public about the production of processes and the consequences of pollution. For what it concerns the shipping marine wildlife collisions, there are so many solutions that has been studied and even carried out. For example, reroute shipping traffic. Some ships in their route go over some species feeding or breeding zone, and that way they collide with a big number of these species such as whales or dolphins. Avoiding these areas for marine lives to be eating or reproducing will be clearly reduce the amount of collisions to these. This has to be communicated to the shipping companies for them to create new routes. Ocean Care has already started these initiative. Other factors like speed reduce, improved whale detection technologies, or active whale avoidance protocols are other measures that can be taken or are taken some companies to avoid these marine animal collisions. Conclusions. In conclusion, while shipping remains an indispensable driver of global trade, its environmental repercussions cannot be overlooked. The extensive impacts on marine life highlight the urgent need for a sustainable approach to maritime practices. Historical developments reveal a troubling pattern of ecological harm, exacerbated by contemporary challenges like climate change. Stakeholders ranging from international organizations to shipping companies and the public play crucial roles in shaping the industry's trajectory. By embracing innovative solutions, fostering awareness, and implementing rigorous regulations, we can mitigate the adverse effects of shipping on marine ecosystems. The increased use of shipping routes near animal habitats, along with noise pollution and the climate change effects, adds further risks for marine life. Solutions like creating safer routes, slowing down ships in critical areas, and using technologies to detect nearby animals can reduce these dangers. Global cooperation among governments, shipping companies, and environmental organizations is crucial to implementing these protective measures. Achieving a balance between economic needs and ocean health is essential, and by prioritizing these efforts, we can help protect marine species and maintain a healthier ocean environment for future generations.